Hi, I'm Amy Schmidt with Dinner Board, and today we're going to talk about how to use the pressure cooker function on your Instapot to create a delicious dinner. I know, every time I bring up Instapot with friends, the first thing they say is, "Do you use the pressure cooker?" And I say, that's all I use the Instapot for, actually. I use it for pressure cooking. Think of it as a glorified crock pot that cooks much faster. Not a ton faster, as you might think with pressure cooking, but I today will make a 3-pound pork roast turn into a lovely shredded dinner in about 2 hours versus the 8 hours that it would take for me to cook it in the crock pot. So what you need to know is how pressure cooking works. It works by steam, so you need to have a little bit of liquid, not a ton, but usually about half a cup to a cup in the bottom of your Instapot in order for it to pressurize and cook your food. Steam cooks much faster than heat, either on the stovetop or in the oven, and even by boiling. So you need a steam base to get that pressurized and get your food cooked. The other thing to know about the Instapot, which is a little bit of a myth, is that people will say, this recipe takes 10 minutes to cook. It does take 10 minutes to cook with the pressure cooking, but it takes about 10 minutes for the pressure cooker to pressurize, and then it takes 10 to 15 minutes for the pressure cooker to depressurize. So some of even the fastest recipes that I've cooked that I've said, oh, I can make this in 10 minutes, it's really like 30 or 35 minutes in between getting the pot up to temperature, cooking it, and then letting it decompress. There's a danger, but it is not the the Instapot exploding. A lot of people are nervous about pressure cookers exploding, and I can tell you, back in the old days, that happened to us. We made a pot roast for a party, we heard a boom, and there was pot roast on our ceiling. It was an old school pressure cooker from the 70s, but the Instapot and other pressure cookers from other brands have a ton of safety features built in, so you don't have to worry about them exploding. They'll shut off before that happens. The one thing you do have to worry about is burning yourself. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes once we get everything into the pressure cooker. But with that, let me show you how easy it is to use this, and we're gonna make carnitas, which is Mexican pulled pork. So here we are with one of my favorite things to make in the pressure cooker. It's carnitas, again, Mexican pulled pork. I have 3 pounds of pork butt that's been trimmed of fat, chopped onions, a bunch of garlic cloves, and then a bunch of spices. Chili powder, paprika, smoked paprika, salt, cumin, and coriander. And what you're gonna do is kind of mix all those together, and I'm just gonna give it a swish around here with my finger just to mix the spices together. And I'm gonna rub it all over this pork butt, which is been cut up into 4 different pieces. It just helps, I think, cook a little bit faster in the Instapot if you have them cut up a bit, and it's easier to shred and get out of the pot too at the end. So you rub it all over, get these spices all over it, like making a rub if you were gonna do a barbecue. And then you press in the garlic cloves. There's about 6 really finely minced garlic cloves. These will kind of fall off, but you use the juice at the end. So we'll press those in. I'm gonna scrape up any at the end. And then I have my chopped onion. Wash my hands really quickly. Put some soap on there too, because I was just touching some pork. Dry that off, excuse me. And we'll start. So I already put the liquid in here. It's about 1.5 cups for this recipe. It's chicken stock, orange juice, fresh orange juice, and lime juice. That's my base, 1.5 cups. That's all I'm gonna need for this amount of pork. And at the end, we actually use the juice as a little bit of sauce on the top. So to that, I'm going to add half my onions. And then I'm gonna put the pork in. Use my hands again, I should have grabbed a tool before I did this. You're gonna see me washing my hands a bunch. And you're just gonna kind of press it in there. The meat's gonna hang out on top. It's not gonna be submerged. It's okay if the meat's not submerged in the pot. And then I'm gonna put the rest of the onions over it. That's it. That's all you do. It's so easy. The fastest part of this is actually putting it together. The hardest and longest part is squeezing the oranges, I think, which took 2 minutes. So with that, what I do is, on my hands again, is to grab the pot. So now it's time to start cooking. So the first thing you want to do is put the lid on. But before you put the lid on, I just want to point out one thing. This little button on the top is going to tell you when it's pressurized and when it's done. So pay close attention to it. When it's fully up, it's pressurized. When it's down, it means it's done and you can open the top. So you put the top on. I always struggle with this. I don't know what my deal is. There we go. Thank God there's a noise for me to know that the top is actually on. And then you're gonna put it on pressure cook. Put this over here. And so pressure cook setting, this is gonna cook for an hour. And if you've made pulled pork before, you know that it takes about 6 to 8 hours in your oven to make this. So an hour's worth of time plus a half an hour to pressurize, depressurize is way faster. I had a barbecue last summer and I actually made pulled pork and pulled chicken in one afternoon with this, which was fantastic. So it's set for an hour. We're gonna leave it. It's gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes to pressurize. The red button will pop up and then it will take another 10 to 15 minutes to depressurize at the end. And I'll join you back at the end to show you what it looks like. So we're back. It's about an hour and a half later. It's dinner time, it's dark outside, and we're ready to eat. So let's see what we have. But before I take the top off, just want to point out the button is down, which means it's depressurized. There's two ways to depressurize this. The first way is by the valve. It can depressurize itself, but it usually takes about 20 to 30 minutes to do so. The other way is you can manually vent it, just turning the knob here. The one tip is to stand back. A lot of steam comes out and it's hot steam. So you don't want to be over your hand over it, anything over it. It's hot. So just be careful with that. So I usually do a combination of both. I let it do its own thing for a few minutes and then at the end I go and release the rest of the steam. So let's open it up and see what we have. There's a little noise letting the rest of the steam out when I opened it. Oh, this looks so good. Oh my gosh, it's kind of already fallen apart. Oh, I don't know if you can get a piece out. So it is so tender. It really shred itself in the Instant Pot. Here's a bigger piece. I put it right onto a sheet pan and this is so tender I can just shred it with the tongs, which is crazy, which means it's perfect. We like it two different ways in our house. So I love it crispy. I love to shred it on a sheet pan and throw it under the broiler for a few minutes because that way you get these wonderfully crispy bits of fat. But my husband likes it with the juice on it. So I do a pan with juice and I do a pan that's been under the broiler for a couple minutes. So that's it. Dinner is served. So don't be afraid to try the pressure cooker option. It totally works. It will not explode. I promise. So if you like this video, give me a like below, subscribe for more, and we'll see you again soon. Bon appetit!